You think people fear power, but they fear unreadable minds more. Someone studies your face and still cannot predict your next move. Listen carefully. Unreadability is a discipline that protects your autonomy forever. Most people broadcast their inner world through tiny leaks without noticing it. Their tone rises, their pace quickens, their posture folds under small pressure. Observers learn these signals, then steer decisions with subtle timing. Your task is simple but rare. Remove leaks while keeping warmth. You will become clear without becoming transparent, present without becoming predictable. This balance reshapes every interaction before words even begin. Unreadability does not mean secrecy. It means controlled visibility under all conditions. You choose what to reveal, when to reveal, and why. When choice guides disclosure, you remain the author of your frame. Frames decide meaning, and meaning decides behavior for everyone involved. If you lose authorship of meaning, you lose invisible control. People feel that loss and test you more aggressively. Begin with the law of internal neutrality, the anchor of unreadable presence. Neutrality means you feel everything, but express selectively and precisely. You are not cold, you are calibrated. Calibration removes performance and replaces it with rhythm. Rhythm is predictable to you, but unreadable to outsiders. They see steadiness, yet cannot locate your trigger points. Without visible triggers, manipulation attempts lose their aim. Train your breath to lead your language, not follow emotion. Slow breath widens perception and slows the inner clock. A slow inner clock prevents urgency from seizing your words. Speak after the breath has settled, not before it calms. Your pacing signals safety, and safety elevates perceived status. Status grows quietly when your body refuses panic, while others accelerate. Bodies trust bodies faster than minds trust logic. Practice attention discipline, because attention is the steering wheel of aura. Never dart eyes during tension. Move gaze in smooth, deliberate arcs. Fast eyes announce insecurity. Slow eyes announce authority. Authority here is not dominance. It is low reactivity under heat. Low reactivity creates mystery without effort. Mystery invites respect because prediction fails gently and repeatedly. When prediction fails, people slow themselves near you. Control vocabulary borders to prevent easy reframing by clever listeners. Use short sentences that end cleanly and leave no dangling threads. Dangling threads invite hooks, and hooks invite pressure. Pressure attempts to extract extra detail for advantage. Do not feed extraction with nervous explanations. Offer one clear reason tied to a stable principle. Then allow measured silence to complete the message. Adopt structural phrases that redirect energy away from your interior. Say the standard is this, not I feel this today. Say we proceed when measurement is clear, not I hope you understand. Standards move attention from your psychology to shared structure. Shared structure cannot be argued emotionally for very long. Emotion loses oxygen when criteria refuse to wobble. Your refusal is calm, not confrontational. Manage posture signals, because posture speaks before any sentence arrives. Lengthen spine, relax jaw, lower shoulders, and ground both feet. Length signals safety, compression signals threat, observers respond accordingly. People soften tone near length and escalate near compression. Your length under pressure becomes an ethical form of intimidation. No words are needed, only consistent physiology. Consistent physiology is unreadable because it resists emotional weather. Deploy controlled availability to train respect without announcement. Respond in predictable windows, not whenever emotion knocks loudly. Predictable windows create boundaries without drama or lectures. Boundaries reduce surveillance and protect your inner map. When surveillance drops, freedom to design increases. Design requires quiet bandwidth that chaos always tries to steal. You will guard bandwidth like currency. Practice layered information release to prevent premature mapping of your mind. Release low-risk details early and high-leverage details after verification. Verification means consistent actions, not pleasant language. Pleasant language comforts, consistent action qualifies. Qualified partners receive deeper clarity by design. Unqualified attention receives polite minimalism and nothing more. Polite minimalism keeps mystery humane and sustainable. Study the bait pattern called forced transparency. Someone asks rapid questions with friendly tone to speed disclosure. They frame openness as virtue and privacy as guilt. Refuse the frame without offense using neutral lines. Say that layer stays private, the decision still stands. Repeat once if pressed, then disengage calmly. Repetition without heat closes most psychological loops. Learn energetic economy, because leaks reveal your map instantly. Every extra sentence spends signal power without return. Remove filler words that seek approval secretly. Replace "I am sorry" but with "I am choosing this." Replace "maybe we could" with "we will do this." Replace "I did it" because with this protects the outcome. Language that ends cleanly denies entry to interrogation. Control rhythm transitions, because rhythm changes expose internal shifts. Move from listening to speaking with a tiny pause. The pause reclaims tempo and teaches others to slow. Tempos that slow under your voice begin to orbit. Orbit creates hierarchy without anyone naming it. Hierarchy built on tempo lasts longer than hierarchy built on titles. Titles fade when noise rises, tempo survives both. Use micro-acknowledgements to release pressure without surrendering position. Say "I see the concern," then return to the rule. Acknowledgement calms, rules redirect, and silence seals. This three-step sequence lowers threat and protects boundaries. People relax when they feel seen, yet structure remains intact. Intact structure is your shield against emotional theft. Theft fails where standards hold steady. Separate stimulus from story during conflicts and tests. Stimulus is what occurred, story is the meaning you assign. Unreadable minds hold stimulus and delay story. Delayed story prevents others from painting on your emotions. When story waits, leverage grows. You then choose the smallest effective move at the right moment. Small effective moves look effortless from the outside. Become strategically opaque, not stubbornly silent. Opacity means partial clarity with ethical intent. You give enough to build trust, yet keep depth for safety. Safety maintains freedom to adapt without apology. Adaptation without apology is rare and magnetic. Magnetism grows when people cannot predict your next step. Uncertainty triggers caution, and caution breeds respect. Do regular residue clearing to prevent past emotions from writing today. After heavy exchanges, reset with breath and brief stillness. Do not carry old charge into fresh rooms. Carried charge makes tone heavy and posture brittle. Brittle tone cracks early and exposes your triggers. Clean tone is unreadable because it reflects only this moment. Presence replaces history, which confuses manipulation attempts. Use the rule of decisive endings to finalize interactions. Close with a short summary and one clear next step. Do not reopen conclusions to satisfy lingering doubt. Lingering doubt is the engine of endless tests. Tests continue only when they produce access or chaos. Deny both with closure and calm withdrawal. Withdrawal teaches faster than lectures. Remember the visibility paradox at the core of mystique. The more constant your exposure, the easier you are to map. Reduce casual visibility and increase meaningful visibility. Appear when stakes are structural, not theatrical. Structural moments multiply perception of competence. Competence quietly grows into inevitability. Inevitability ends many contests before they start. Do not confuse unreadability with distance or cruelty. You can be warm without being legible. Warmth lives in presence, not in oversharing. Steady eyes, soft voice, and measured timing are warmth. Oversharing is anxiety seeking rescue through attention. Anxiety disguised as openness becomes a lever against you. Remove the lever by removing the performance. Build a personal code that never changes under pressure. For example, no decisions under peak adrenaline. For example, no deadlines without scope and verification. For example, no private details during public debates. Codes reduce improvisation, where improvisation creates leaks. The fewer leaks, the stronger your mystique. Mystique with integrity is the rarest social signal. Accept misinterpretation as filtration, not failure. Some minds require display before they offer respect. You will not display, you will remain consistent. Consistency is a slower path, but a permanent one. Permanence reshapes memory and future expectations. Soon people approach with care instead of demand. Approach quality improves when unpredictability remains gentle and firm. The final layer is emotional non-ownership. You do not fix moods you did not create. You do not rescue stories that punish your clarity. You remain kind while keeping your center untouched. Untouched centers generate gravity that words cannot counterfeit. Gravity bends tone, pace, and choice around you. Bending happens quietly until everyone thinks it was natural. You are approaching a threshold few ever cross. Your presence becomes calm, your map remains hidden, and tests decrease. Yet a deeper question waits beneath the quiet surface. If people fear what they cannot read, what happens when your own mind becomes unreadable to you? Can you hold steady when even your inner voice stops explaining why you are calm? Are you ready to learn the ritual that turns unreadability into permanent authority? You think unreadability is mystery, but it is actually emotional symmetry. People do not fear silence, they fear imbalance they cannot measure. Listen carefully, because your calm must become mathematical if you want real control. Emotional symmetry means your inner and outer signals match perfectly. Most people leak contradictions every few seconds. They say yes while their tone says worry. They smile while their eyes shout retreat. These micro-contradictions reveal more truth than any confession. Trained minds pick up those leaks instantly and file them as data. You think you are safe because you spoke softly, but your nervous system already told the truth. The first secret of unreadability is alignment between mind and body. You must remove emotional lag from your expression. When the inner state moves 1 second slower than the face, your mask shatters even if your words stay perfect. Alignment begins with stillness under tension. Tension must rise in the room without rising in you. Your pulse becomes the metric of your presence. One breath slower than others, and you already shifted the power map. This is physiological dominance, the first layer of invisible strength. You are not overpowering anyone, you are refusing to sync with chaos. Whoever keeps original tempo becomes the silent leader of rhythm. The brain looks for steady beats to predict safety. So when your body stays stable, others, systems unconsciously entrain to it. They start breathing at your pace without realizing why. The moment this happens, your energy begins teaching instead of reacting. That teaching is silent instruction. Calm becomes the lesson itself. Next comes emotional opacity. Opacity means feeling deeply, but displaying selectively. You do not remove emotion, you direct its visibility like light through blinds. Too much openness blinds others, too little warmth freezes them. Your goal is dim control, warm enough to trust, vague enough to protect. Humans respect warmth they cannot predict. Predictable warmth feels safe but small. Controlled warmth feels powerful because it invites, then disappears before capture. That disappearance creates psychological weight that words never can. Practice the rule of energetic mirroring. Mirror tone, not words. If someone speaks fast, lower your pace slightly beneath theirs. Their system will begin recalibrating toward your frequency. This is entrainment by rhythm, not by dominance. You are silently teaching them to move slower, breathe deeper, and trust stability. Once they adopt your rhythm, their resistance dissolves subconsciously. Now their perception aligns to your emotional field instead of their own. The second secret of unreadability is emotional economy. You must treat feelings like finite currency. Each emotional expression spends credit from your influence bank. Spend little, and your words begin to carry rare value. Scarcity breeds reverence, the less emotional noise you produce. The more people listen when you finally speak. because they know you never waste expression. Unreadable minds use economy as gravity. They attract by refusing to spend. But economy does not mean coldness. Coldness signals detachment. Economy signals precision. Precision means each response matches purpose, not impulse. You never react to prove awareness, only to direct outcome. Once others learn your reactions follow intention. They begin waiting before acting. Silence becomes command. Your delay between stimulus and response creates anticipation. Anticipation breeds authority because waiting implies importance. Now study psychological transparency traps. These are moments when others force your emotions into daylight through empathy or pressure. They might say you seem quiet, are you upset? They are not always manipulative, but the effect is the same. Your instinct will be to soften the tension by explaining. That explanation burns your aura instantly. Instead, neutralize with measured presence. Say, I am listening, or simply maintain calm focus with low tone. Refuse to name your emotion. Emotion named under pressure becomes owned by others. Emotion unnamed under clarity remains power in storage. Your next mastery is facial discipline. Micro-expressions are micro-betrayals. Eyes widen for surprise, jaw tightens for disagreement, brow contracts for doubt. Train each muscle to wait for breath before movement. One controlled blink buys 3 seconds of strategic thinking. The average mind reads faces faster than it hears words. You can lose control of the room before your sentence ends. The unreadable face is not blank, it is paced. Pacing face movements turns emotion into choreography instead of leakage. Then comes vocal asymmetry. Tone carries dominance more than volume ever will. You must learn the art of downward modulation. Finish each sentence slightly lower than you began. The descending tone signals closure to the brain. Closure equals control. It ends negotiation instantly. Your tone becomes punctuation that others respect instinctively. Even disagreement sounds final when your tone descends slowly. The third secret of unreadability is deliberate timing. You must create an unpredictable rhythm without chaos. People measure safety through rhythm when they cannot predict your tempo. They default to caution and respect. Speak slower than expected, pause longer than comfort. Respond later than urgency demands. Each delay communicates that you are governed internally, not externally. The one who owns time owns hierarchy. And then comes the most difficult layer, internal silence. External silence without inner calm becomes awkward, not powerful. You must mute the internal commentary that seeks validation. If your mind races with defense or cleverness, your body leaks tension. Unreadable presence requires still thought loops. Thoughts move like slow water, soundless but directional. This internal quiet makes your eyes feel deeper to others. They sense a hidden map they cannot read and step carefully around it. Each of these habits rewires your presence step by step. You become quiet but magnetic, soft but immovable. People cannot guess your limits or triggers, so they instinctively respect boundaries you never mentioned. Fear of unreadability turns into fascination. And fascination is the beginning of influence. But unreadability can become fragile if it depends on control alone. Control without depth turns into performance, and performance eventually cracks under fatigue. So the next layer reveals something even more dangerous. What happens when unreadability stops being control and starts being nature itself? Can you reach a state where mystery no longer needs management? Because calm became your natural identity. That is where true, invisible authority begins. You think unreadability means silence, but it actually means emotional invisibility. People cannot defend against what they cannot define. Listen carefully. The moment someone fails to label your energy, their control collapses. This is the third law of unreadable presence, perceptual dissonance. When people cannot predict your tone, their nervous system enters mild uncertainty. Uncertainty triggers fascination and caution at the same time. Fascination keeps attention locked, caution prevents attack. You create an invisible tension that keeps the power centered on you. The world trusts confidence, but it obeys mystery. Mystery is simply confidence without display. To master this, you must study the gap between perception and truth. Perception is the story others write about your energy. Truth is what you actually feel and decide. If perception and truth overlap too often, people read you easily. You must separate them by microdelay and selective reaction. The microdelay gives you one heartbeat to reshape your signal. Reshape means you choose tone before emotion chooses it for you. This is the moment where control becomes invisible but absolute. Start with neutral framing. Neutral framing means your expression sits halfway between positive and negative. It never reveals whether you approve or reject. This keeps observers guessing, forcing them to speak first. And the first to reveal position always gives power away. Because exposure equals vulnerability, even when the exposure is polite. Your calm unreadability turns politeness into observation. Next, learn the law of asymmetric curiosity. People always chase what feels partially revealed. If you expose 90% of your intent, they relax. If you expose 50%, they lean closer and wonder. Wonder increases investment, and investment builds psychological gravity. You control this by revealing structure but hiding motive. They see your method, but never your inner reason. Method feels safe, motive feels sacred. The sacred is what draws respect. You must also master emotional camouflage. Camouflage does not mean lying, it means blending. Blend your emotional energy to the environment while keeping your awareness sharp. If the room is tense, lower your intensity slightly below theirs. If the room is joyful, raise yours slightly beneath enthusiasm. The small difference creates magnetic contrast. People sense calm similarity, but never complete sameness. Sameness is forgettable, contrast is hypnotic. Observe the mirroring trap. Most people mirror unconsciously to create connection. But mirroring without awareness makes you transparent. Every movement tells others how deeply they affect you. You become a reflection, not a source. To reverse this, mirror once, then freeze. Mirror once to build rapport, freeze to regain frame. The freeze breaks rhythm gently and shifts authority. Now their system follows your new pace automatically. The next layer is controlling your informational texture. Information has texture. Some words feel soft, others metallic. Soft texture invites comfort. Metallic texture signals distance. Alternate textures in conversation to keep observers decoding. This constant decoding consumes their focus. And focus spent decoding cannot be used for manipulation. You have occupied their processing bandwidth without raising your voice. This is intellectual defense disguised as charisma. Then comes psychological opacity, the art of being clear but ungraspable. You answer every question directly, but too precisely to interpret emotionally. If someone asks, "Why did you decide this?" you reply, "It aligns with our threshold metric," calmly and completely. Nothing defensive, nothing poetic, only structure. Structure calms chaos but conceals motive. The motive is where your personal code hides. Once your code stays hidden, your direction cannot be hijacked. Develop controlled inconsistency as your advanced layer. Predictability builds comfort, but comfort dissolves power. Once in a while, shift a small element, tone, timing, sequence. The change should be small enough to confuse, not threaten. Humans fear unpredictability when mild, and submit to it when graceful. Graceful unpredictability signals that your rhythm is self-generated. Self-generated rhythm equals psychological independence. Independent people are respected, dependent ones are read like books. Never underestimate the language of delay. Delay transforms expectation into reverence. When people wait for your answer, time bends around your stillness. The longer you hold silence with steady eyes, the more they assume your thought is deeper than theirs. Assumption becomes belief, belief becomes hierarchy. You did not command authority, you engineered it through patience. The final rule of unreadability is emotional ambiguity. Your emotional tone should make observers unsure whether you are pleased or assessing. This gentle uncertainty keeps everyone balanced between effort and respect. They will speak carefully, move thoughtfully, and overthink their phrasing. In that overthinking, their own rhythm breaks while yours remains intact. Intact rhythm equals silent control. But there is a shadow to this art. When you master unreadability, people will project greatness onto your silence. But projection is also dependency in disguise. They will depend on your stability to regulate their chaos. And dependency, even disguised as admiration, can drain your balance. So the next revelation teaches how to remain unreadable, without becoming a vessel for other people's unrest. Because power without boundaries always collapses from the inside. Are you ready to learn how unreadable minds stay untouchable without becoming empty? You think being unreadable means being untouchable, but that is only half the truth. Silence can protect you, but it can also turn you into a mirror for other people's chaos. Listen carefully, unreadability must evolve into self-contained balance, or it begins to eat itself. The moment people cannot read you, they start projecting themselves onto you. Some will see strength, others will imagine coldness, a few will invent mystery. Projection feels flattering at first because it builds your aura. But aura without inner grounding becomes an echo chamber of illusions. Each illusion added by others becomes emotional weight you never agreed to carry. Unreadable minds that do not clean projection end up ruled by the emotions they avoided. The first law of protection is inner anchoring. Anchoring means knowing your baseline state when no one is watching. If your calm only exists around others, it is performance. But if calm exists alone, it is foundation. Foundation creates balance between emptiness and clarity. Emptiness absorbs energy, clarity reflects it. You must reflect, never absorb. Absorbing projection means converting foreign energy into personal tension. Reflection allows you to return emotion without hostility. To achieve this, you need emotional decoupling. Decoupling means the ability to observe emotion without labeling it as identity. When someone tests you with aggression, you do not internalize the intent. You only label the data, a rising tone, a sharp breath, a change of stance. You treat reactions as weather patterns, not personal statements. Observation dissolves attachment. Attachment feeds chaos. The more detached your observation, the safer your presence feels. And safety is the ultimate mask. People relax near power they cannot provoke. This leads to psychological containment. Containment is not suppression, it is disciplined expression. You decide when emotion leaves your system, not emotion itself. Anger, sadness, or excitement are all raw energies waiting for shape. Unreadable minds sculpt them into precision instead of performance. You may smile without surrender, pause without fear, and act without announcement. The less you broadcast, the more you guide energy instead of reacting to it. But unreadability must also breathe, or it hardens into armor. Too much armor creates distance that isolates influence. You must remain accessible to empathy, but inaccessible to extraction. Accessibility invites trust, extraction drains control. The difference lies in regulated openness. You open emotionally by choice, not by accident. You choose when warmth enhances connection and when neutrality protects purpose. People never know where your boundary begins, yet always feel safe near it. That safety becomes your signature, warm but untouchable, kind but unreadable. Then comes the paradox of emptiness. Silence, once mastered, starts to feel like absence. If you are not careful, you start mistaking emptiness for power. But power is not emptiness, it is density without noise. True silence contains thought, awareness, and readiness beneath stillness. Empty silence has no texture, and people eventually sense the void. You must cultivate silent density through observation, learning, and pattern awareness. When silence carries content, people sense depth. When silence carries fear, people sense avoidance. The difference between mystery and distance lies in this texture. Your unreadability matures only when silence stops being a mask and becomes a medium. It becomes the space where you process, design, and decide. You think in pauses, build patterns in stillness, and move after emotional storms pass. This rhythm makes you both unpredictable and trustworthy. Unpredictable because no one can rush you, trustworthy because your pace never lies. Slow decision-making signals permanence, and permanence builds reputation faster than charisma ever can. To stay balanced, you must also master detached empathy. You feel others fully, but never become their echo. You read emotional data like a surgeon reads vitals, precise, calm, without drowning. Detached empathy keeps your connection alive without compromising your field. The moment you start carrying what others feel, your aura leaks energy. Once it leaks, unreadability dies, predictability returns. Detachment here is sacred, it keeps your influence clean. Another layer of protection is narrative control. People will build stories around your calm. Some will call it wisdom, some arrogance, some mystery. You must not defend against stories, you must own them. Owning means staying consistent until truth becomes pattern. Patterns eventually replace rumors. You outlast perception until time rewrites your reputation in your image. That is the slowest but most permanent persuasion in existence. And finally, the highest layer, internal sovereignty. Internal sovereignty means no external emotion can rewrite your tone. You no longer need unreadability as a weapon because it became your nature. You no longer protect calm, calm protects you. Your silence now contains memory, empathy, and discipline woven together. People sense that you see everything but react to nothing. That sense creates awe, the quiet kind that changes behavior without commands. Awe is influence without demand, respect without effort, leadership without instruction. This is the last transformation. You began learning unreadability to defend your mind. But now unreadability is not armor, it is awareness. You are no longer hiding, you are perceiving. People still fear what they cannot read. But you no longer seek their fear, you invite their reflection. Your presence becomes mirror and map at once. And through you, others begin to slow down, breathe, and measure themselves differently. So remember this truth. Mystery that hides weakness collapses, but mystery that protects clarity endures. You were never meant to be invisible, you were meant to be ungraspable. The world cannot read what does not react. And the one who cannot be read will always define the rhythm of every room they enter. Because power is not about being known. It is about being felt silently long after you leave.